Ancient technology. Could ancient cultures soften stone? Is it possible that thousands of years ago ancient cultures possessed a now lost technology that allowed them to soften stone? According to numerous researchers, the answer is yes. The construction of Sacsay women remains a profound mystery for researchers who have failed to understand how ancient people managed to quarry, transport and place these megalithic stones. Is it possible that the countless megalithic sites around the globe were built with the help of a now lost technology? What if, in the distant past, ancient cultures from South America, Asia, Egypt and in other parts of the world, had in their possession an ancient method that allowed them to transport, cut and mold megalithic stones to their desire? There are numerous inexplicable sites around the globe, and the most noteworthy to mention are Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, Ollantaytambo, Pumapunku and Sacsay women. At all of those places, ancient mankind managed to somehow perfectly place huge blocks of stone weighing hundreds of tons. These marvelous stones are so heavy that modern-day machinery would hardly be able to move and put them into position. This is why we ask, is it possible that ancient cultures in Peru and Bolivia had a technology that allowed them to modify stone and soften it? This would have allowed them to modify and construct huge structures without the need of modern-day tools. According to a number of researchers like Jan-Peter de Jong, Christopher Jordan and Jesus Camara, some of the granite walls in Cuzco are the ultimate evidence that ancient cultures managed to heat different stones at a very high temperature. This unknown process vitrified the surface of the blocks, turning them into giant glassy and smooth structures. Based on these and other observations, Jong, Jordan and Camara conclude that ancient man possessed an advanced device which allowed them to melt stone blocks, which were then placed into position and allowed to cool down next to hard, jigsaw polygonal blocks that were already in place, forming an extraordinary puzzle that defies rational understanding today. The end product, perfectly molded stone, would remain fixed against other stones in a nearly perfect manner, giving an impression as if these megalith stones were melted into position. Once fixed, these stones were so precisely placed that not a single sheet of paper could fit in between them. All of this was achieved thousands of years ago. However, researchers like Jong and Jordan believe that not only did cultures in ancient Peru and Bolivia possess the technology of melting stone, they believe that evidence of similar technology can be found all around the globe. If the ancients did, in fact, have the ability to soften the stone, it would certainly explain the countless ancient structures belonging not only to poor Inca and Inca cultures but the Maya, Aztecs, and Olmecs that inhabited Central and South America. Before disproving the theory that the ancients had in their possession sophisticated means by which they softened stone, consider that many of the ancient complexes in the Americas bear incredibly strange markings that could be explained by tooling the surface while it was still soft. Some of the stones we are discussing are truly immense and are nearly impossible to maneuver into position using today's technologies. Also, it is important to consider that many ancient Inca sites have stones and walls that have up to 12 and 13 perfect angles on their visible surface. Below that and the hidden sections, these stones redefine the word perfect. Better yet is the fact that even with today's extremely advanced technology, it is impossible for engineers and architects to replicate walls such as those found at Sacsay women. In the book Exploration Fawcett, Colonel Fawcett tells a story of how these incredible stones were softened. Through the Peruvian and Bolivian Montana is to be found a small bird like a kingfisher, which makes its nest in neat round holes in the rocky escarpments above the river. These holes can plainly be seen, but are not usually accessible, and strangely enough they are found only where the birds are present. I once expressed surprise that they were lucky enough to find nesting holes conveniently placed for them, and so neatly hollowed out as though with a drill. They make the holes themselves. The words were spoken by a man who had spent a quarter of a century in the forests. I've seen how they do it, many a time. I've watched, and seen the birds come to the cliff with leaves of some sort in their beaks, and cling to the rock like woodpeckers to a tree while they rub the leaves in a circular motion over the surface. Then they would fly off, and come back with more leaves, and carry on with the rubbing process. After 3 or 4 repetitions they dropped the leaves and started pecking at the place with their sharp beaks. And here's the marvelous part: they would soon open out a round hole in the stone. Then off they'd go again, and go through the rubbing process with leaves several times before continuing to peck. It took several days, but finally they had opened out holes deep enough to contain their nests. I've climbed up and taken a look at them, and, believe me, a man couldn't drill a neater hole. Do you mean to say that the bird's beak can penetrate solid rock? A woodpecker's beak penetrates solid wood, doesn't it? And no, I don't think the bird can get through solid rock. I believe, as everyone who has watched them believes, that those birds know of a leaf with juice that can soften up rock till it's like wet clay.